Welcome back to the weekly installment of the Top 10. These are the hottest selling cards in Magic the Gathering this week from January 18th to the 25th of 2025. Today's video sees everything from Lord of the Rings and Modern Horizons 3 and even Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. Stay tuned, these are crazy. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here. I'm your host through the journey of the top 10. Now, in today's video, we've got some really crazy cards coming onto the market. It looks like Aether Drift is fighting with Modern Horizons 3, and we've even got some Lord of the Rings in here. Now, of course, before we start today's video, a reminder, if you're shopping for any of these cards, don't forget to use my TCG Player affiliate link. It does help out the channel. Now, let's dive into the number 10 card, and it's coming to us from Modern Horizons 3. This is Urza's Cave. This thing refuses to leave my top 10. It had 2,834 sales this week. That's $9,267 of sales action. This card's averaging out there at $3.27 per copy. Now, let's look at what's happening here. Now, if you took a look at this card last week, you'll notice that we've had this card shifting up in value. Week over week, it's creeping up these little tiny bits. And that 30 cents here, 20 cents here, it is translating. Because last week, this thing was $3.43, and now we're at $3.70 something. 30 cents here, 30 cents there. You can see the increase in price slowly and incrementally because of the supply issues we're having with this card. People aren't cracking Modern Horizons 3, but people keep buying 4 copies at a time. Now, let's take a look at Bolt Wave. This is from Foundations, another banger set that the Moxman called wrong. And here we have looking at the number 9 card with 2,940 sales. Now, Bolt Wave's getting a lot of action because it's used in numerous formats. You got this thing coming into Commander, We've got this thing jumping into Standard. And let's face it, this thing will beat you down. At $3.31, it lost a little bit of its edge right now. And the sales have pushed it down to further down the list, but it's still hanging into the top 10 in the number 9 spot. Now, that $3.31 is nothing to sniff at for an uncommon, but we've noticed this upward trend of these cards, so it's something to really keep an eye on to see if these cards in uncommon slots are going above the $5 mark more regularly. Let's not forget the Bolt Wave is a 3 damage card to each opponent, and that just makes it a banger for Standard, but it also helps out in Commander because every opponent gets hit. This is one of those cards I love to think about just smashing somebody with, even though right now I'm not using it. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our number 8 card this week. And yeah, it's Loot the Exuberant Explorer Extended Art, coming in at $4 on average with 3,002 sales. That's $12,000 of total sales action. This isn't a card I expected to see here on the list, but it looks like this Foundations card is having a little bit of legs. He actually has small legs. That's kind of a pun on words. These little legs. I get it. Hope you guys do too. That was kind of off topic there. Now, when we're looking at this card and the $4 price point of this card, this thing came in at a massive pre-order. People were like, this thing's going to be it. But Loot is not bad. Loot does some stuff that I think we need to mention because he did jump into the video. He is into the number 8 slot, which means people are buying him. So what are they looking at? Well, for a 3 casting cost, 1 green and 2 other. The fact he lets you play additional lands and he's in Standard is nothing to sniff at. And then that 6 ability, which people are going to find as a very unimportant thing until probably it's too late. But this is one of those cards I say extra land always can be scary, Standard or Commander. So keep an eye out. Now, let's take a look here at the Overlord of Baelmerk. This thing's freaking me out. I'm not going to be honest here, okay? Yeah, it's from Duskmourn and it looks like all kinds of things like from The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. But I'm looking at this thing at 3,198 sales. That's $100,000. This thing went nuclear. Okay. I know everyone who's playing it and they're all scaring me because I don't own a playset of these. I'm not using it in Standard, but I've played against so many people using it that I'm getting the beat down. Now, this thing here is at, an average price increase of $22.56 month over month. Okay. This thing's really shifted up in value and it's garnering a lot of attention. Now at $32.11 on average now, it is continuing to kind of have this upward trend of like 60, 70 cents. It's slowing its pace, but it's still selling a lot of copies, everyone. Is this going to be shouldered? Who knows, but people are liking this card. The impending is really working for it. The fact it mills things and returns things back, these non-avatar creature cards, This is something players are using, so you're going to see it in standard. I haven't really seen it in commander, but standard for sure. Now let's jump over to Lord of the Rings. We got Entish Restoration coming in here to the. Now it takes the number 6 spot with 3,403 sales. That's $5,900 of sales action. I remember this card touching the $3 to $3.50 mark, and it's kind of sunken back on that, but somebody's really picking up a lot of sales interest for this card. So let's take a closer look. Now, along the timeline of this card, you can see it's had slow incremental increases, but recently it kind of dipped in value. It looks like somebody is hedging their bets because there's a lot of massive purchases of bulk lots of this card. It's not individuals. Now, because the restoration is instant, don't forget that this thing works with landfall. You're going to see you in commander decks that are going to be using Omnath. It's going to be powerhouse. Now, for our next card, we're diving over and taking a look at the Patchwork Banner again from Bloomborough. This thing is one of those cards that players continue to buy, and we're seeing continued pressure on the supply of this card. Even with all those tins coming out, the price is still incrementally etching back up. 3,519 sales, that's $20,000 of sales action on this card. And you're getting a lot of bang for your buck for this card. Let's not forget. When you looked at it before, it was $5.65. It had a minus negative on the monthly of about 35 cents just because it's such a popular card. But since then, we've seen, of course, climb back up. It's back up to $5.70. It's increasing in price again, and it's just slowly working its way back up to that $6 mark. Yeah, the tins took the pressure off, but it's still an amazing card, and players want 4 copies. It's that simple. Because of what it does and the creature types it can be utilized in, there's a lot of decks out there, including Commander, that can play with this card. Now let's dive over and take a look at our next one, and that is going to be Greasefang. Okay, this is the boss, the extended art. This is the man. And he's 75 cents, but he had 3,562 sales, which is $2,700 of sales action. I didn't expect to really see this card here yet. We're a little bit out from Aether Drift, but I know this card had a massive surge of sales on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday this week, so I knew it was going to be making the list. Just too many copies were selling. Now, when we look at this card at the 75-cent mark, it hasn't drawn a lot of attention since Kamigawa and Neon Dynasty. We didn't have the vehicle allotment we had, but now a card like this is really going to pick up steam when you see it inside of Aether Drift or in Commander builds going forward. Yeah, it's the Rat Pilot, but it says at the beginning of your upkeep, guys, you get to bring back a giant vehicle. Some massive vehicles, they get haste, and it just beats people down. It's going to be scary. People are going to play with this. Have a lot of fun with it. Enjoy creation and destruction. Let's go and take a look at our next card. Untimely Malfunction from Duskmourn continues to be a scary card. And averaging out there at $3, losing just a little bit of its edge this week with $11,640 of total sales action. This is another card I'm worried is going to not see enough box openings going forward. The price is going to keep creeping, and that means this card is going to go up to about the $5 level. Its multi-function gives it multiple playability factors inside of everything from standard to commander. You can see the pressure on the card is eased momentarily because of Aether Drift, but we are going to see a turn of events, I think, when we get around to Aether Drift plus 90. That 90 days out, a card like this is going to pick up steam because people are going to build again, and they're going to say, oh, I don't have 4 of these. I need this for a deck I'm building to give myself more opportunities. I don't want creatures blocking me. Look out for this card. Okay, let's dive in. We got Dragon's Horde, Core Set 2019, and that's because of Dragons of Tarkir. Okay, Dragonstorm Tarkir. 3,991 sales. That's $10,700 of sales action. $2.70 on action because this card does something. It does something people are thinking about. Now, whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, you get to put this gold counter on. When you put that gold counter on, you're going to start messing things up. Don't forget, there are other things that double the counters of things and make it a lot scarier. You can get big, giant dragons like old Gnawbone out, and this thing is pennies on the dollar. I really should have included this in one of the possibilities of cards you should be buying ahead of time. It's still cheap, though. It's still very available. Now, don't forget, you can remove the gold counters to draw a card, but this thing also adds any color mana. So if you're using it in a dragon deck, you're going to be getting all kinds of draw ability, but you're also going to be able to draw and get mana to cast your bigger dragons. I love it. It's a great card. If you start doubling counters, you're drawing cards for free. But our number one card this week, this is nowhere to run. 4,586 sales. This is starting to see a little bit of a ramp up in Commander. $12,152 of sales action. Pardon me, a little stutter there. 152. in there. This thing has flash, which means you can put it out there at the last possible second, and the creatures your opponents have no longer have hexproof, no longer have the protectionism that they've enjoyed under their previous writings. When this thing comes in, it messes people up. And at $2.65, it is starting to kind of tick up again. And it's one of those cards I can see reaching the $5 level, like a lot of the other uncommons out there. And it's because of that flash ability. The -3 is great, but when they don't have their ward triggers anymore, this is where things can start getting special. Don't ignore cards like this. It's to your own detriment. Amazing. Now, I'd like to draw your attention to today's video again for the sales numbers to start things out. We have very strong sales action in the primary market. There's a lot of cards right now in multiple formats that are really picking up steam. And we have these long running, almost legacy cards here that have been on for several weeks from varieties of sets. This is not a one all win all. Like, you're not seeing just Bloomburrow here or just Duskmore, right? The only thing I found surprising in this week's market is, again, the strong numbers. There's a lot of activity. The primary sales market of people buying singles right now, it really still outweighs box buying. We don't see sealed boxes moving the way they used to, but we do see players just diving into the singles market and really picking up play sets of 4. Now, when you look at the sales action we saw this week, the individual cards selling, the fact we're seeing sets like Bloomburrow, we're continuing with Foundations, having a strong showing. We got Duskmorn hanging in there, and we even had Lord of the Rings and even a Kamigawa card. Now, Kamigawa makes perfect sense with Aether Drift. That Greasefang is going to see some action. It's people picking up speculative positions inside these cards in case they really turn around, become a big thing briefly, where they can unload into the market and make some money. That makes sense to me. When you see cards on Foundations continuing to show a strong showing and the prices staying relatively calm and stable, it tells you there's a lot of stock, a lot of availability, and that product is still getting open. Now, Bloomburrow, we had a bit of a sales drought in terms of box openings, but people are still buying the packs individually. They're not opening massive boxes anymore and doing mass box openings, but we are seeing individual packs be opened. But I don't think there's nearly enough patchwork banners in the market to continue to stave off what people are doing. They're buying play sets of 4 over and over again. I need a play set of 4 for this. I need a play set of 4 for that. I want a backup play set of 4. Taking 12, 14, or 16 copies of a card out of the market, it's not good if tons of people are doing it. It just shows that the market doesn't have the depth of availability to restock quick enough. That means the price is going to continue to climb. It's going to go above that $6 mark. It's just going to creep along at 5-10 cents, but we're going to see the market react that way because the supply cannot keep pace with the demand. Now, Lord of the Rings, Entish Restoration, cards like this, they do come around. They do have an interest that gets a resurgence because of something going on. Landfall's been picking up a bit of a spike right now. I know we've seen a lot of decks being created. We've seen a lot more sales in the reserve list on things like Thawing Glaciers. So it makes sense to me that, decks using Omnath and the like, using Entish Restorations and buying 4, 8, 12, 16, and it's only costing you $30, it makes sense in case the card spikes up again, it doesn't come back into print for years, and people like that style of artwork, that all those things can play into the favor of somebody using the market space to buy it when it's cheap and hopefully resell later on. But overall, great sales, great market, a lot of action, a lot of exciting products moving right now in that singles market. Did you guys know that there was even was Grinding Stone? It sold like 600-700 copies. It didn't make the list, but it came out of nowhere to start making more sales. Like a $30 card, I think was the one. I was counting it up. I'm like, there's a lot of sales in there. There's a lot going on. Didn't make the list, but it looks like people are kind of spreading out again, and we're seeing a lot more action on a diverse creative side of what people are trying to do and build with Commander as well as Standard. I can't believe it. And let's not forget Modern. Modern's right in there, and I can't wait to see if we have more Pauper sales of low-end cards coming in and Pioneer. Either way, exciting stuff. I want to thank you guys, by the way. Great comments coming into this week. Some great emails from you guys asking some very good questions about how we're seeing reactions in the market. You can keep those emails coming. If you're a patron, if you're not a patron, alang@hotmail.com. I'm happy to answer the questions, guys. And if you got pictures of things you bought, especially reserve list stuff, yes, I do love to see it. I want you to flex. I gotta see it. I just love it. Thanks again for hanging out. Have a great Saturday. Don't forget we're back on Sunday for the reserve list top 10 as well, and we'll see if the reserve list can hold its own again with some crazy sales. And yes, there is a few of these odd cards in the reserve list, and they're coming back too. And it looks like it's because of Aether Drift, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Thanks again for hanging out, MTG Moxman. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Hey guys, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons of my channel. Because of these patrons, we get to create daily uploaded content for everyone on YouTube to enjoy. So thanks again for giving my videos a thumbs up. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. And of course, to my patrons and YouTube membership members, it's because of you that we get to do this every single day. Welcome back. We're here at the end. You've made it, backstage pass and all. Thundercats, ho! Not to mention Globotron. Do you remember Globotron? That's the home world of the GoBots. There's your useless fact for the day. Do you remember Muscles by Mattel? The little pink action figure guys, like little wrestler guys, all different alien types and stuff. That was a great toy line. Just in case you forgot, they came in garbage cans or little 4-pack things. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't have to. It's my ramble jamble. I can say what I want here. Okay, let's touch base on something. The trend I've seen year over year is not matching up. It's not. We are having higher sales volumes in the singles market. So much so that I'm telling you guys here who remember to watch this far into the video, I'm telling you it. Like, it doesn't add up. They are much higher. And I think this is becoming the new norm in the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because there's no boxes being bought. We're seeing packs be sold, but not boxes. And that lack of sealed product being opened en masse, and there's still people opening en masse, just not enough people, that when this happens and people just dive into the singles market, we are seeing that constraint on the price, the pressure on the supply and the demand. I had a couple of emails from people saying, do you have this card? Do you have this card? And these are some stores asking me, but I haven't been opening mass box openings for a couple of years myself. I don't open 6-7 boxes anymore, so I can't help them. I just buy the singles I want as well. I think the last couple of box open were Bloomborough. I told them, I said, and I'm not giving up my patchwork banners. I'm holding on to those. I need them. So that weird stage. It really makes me wonder what will happen with Dragonstorm, but more so Final Fantasy. And Marvel is gonna be insane. But here's my good news for you guys. I'm doing the numbers game. Marvel is gonna have so much opened. It's gonna be awesome. But like Lord of the Rings, I think it'll start drying up. The money moves on so quickly, it's going to dry up and move into somewhere else. And that's something we need to be aware of as players and people who want to get some of these cards. We'll focus on more when we get closer. I'll do more bits here at the end, but wow, crazy stuff. Sorry, hiccup. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. I know this is a long video today. If you made it this far, put a boomstick in the comment section so I know you're that type of person. Boomstick. Ramble jamble.